Courtney Burgess has been making the rounds on podcasts, news stations, and the feds, talking about I've seen the tapes and it's bad. We're going to talk about it in today's video. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's still not back here yet, but almost. It's almost back here. My name's Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, well, again, my name's Paul. I hope everybody's been doing well. Now today we're going to be going back to the P. Diddy case. We haven't covered it in a little bit. I've been following it in the background and whatnot, and this latest thing going around, I was like, okay, we got to talk about it, right? And what I want to talk about specifically is a gentleman by the name of Courtney Burgess. Now, Courtney alleges that he doesn't know P. Diddy, oh, I hang out with him. He makes that very clear, right? But he knows of him. They both entered the music industry around the same time, and there's sounds like some distant familial, Godfather this and that and type connections, right? So just know that going into it. Now, Courtney is a talent scout agency manager, so he's been in this business as well, that type stuff. Now, he has some major allegations, okay? We're talking about, I've seen the tapes, I've read the real Kim Porter book, I have it, a whole 9 yards, okay? Now, before we get into any of this, just to let you know, yes, on his, when he went live and did all this stuff, he's been making the rounds, like I said. He has named names, okay? I am not going to name those in this video, simply because this has not been put out there by authorities or anything like that yet. That's someone else's trauma, that's someone else's stuff, and some of them were minors, it sounds like, when this happened. If you're wanting to get specifics of it, you can 100% just Google it and look at his own, hear it from this man's mouth, right? Because again, this is alleged at this point. However, I will say the names, if you're following this case and you're like, well, who's Paul talking about? The names that have been bounced around is who we're talking about, okay? So just, you already know. Yes, these are people that the second you say the name, you're like, I just listened to them. I just saw them on TV. It's that level of fame, okay? But the ones he's talking about are considered victims, unwilling participants, it sounds like. So just know that, and we'll hear it from him specifically. And what we're going to do in this video is just that. We're going to watch a couple of things from Courtney Burgess and his attorney that's going to be with him. And she is outside the feds in a courthouse or whatever. They do an interview with TMZ, and then they also go on News Nation with Ashley Banfield. Hey Ashley, we love you. And she asks again some of those hard-hitting questions that Ashley's really good at doing and engaging with her guest on her show. We'll also go look at a newspaper article from the LA Times at the end of those two things that go into a little bit more detail about this Kim Porter book, because there's so much drama surrounding that all around cases like this. When this is, this is major, y'all. This, to me, and when I say this is the fall of Hollywood, it was already crumbling. This could be what sets it over the edge. This is pulling the veil back on all this crazy stuff that we've heard of, and when we start getting confirmed A, B, C, D, E, F, G did happen, right? Now, also keep in mind the lawsuits that are going on with P. Diddy from the guy in Houston. I did a video on it before. He's going to a lot of these A-list celebrities talking about, your name's going to go public. Do you want to write a check? And trust me, a lot of them are, to keep their names out of it. So some of them we might not ever know, because major NDAs, the whole 9 yards, right? So we might not ever hear of it, okay? But definitely people are going to be going down. And unfortunately, the people who are victimized, they're going to get re-victimized again in a sense, because they're going to be put out there, unfortunately. I see this coming, right? The videotapes and all that. These are being shopped around like it's Kim K's, little SEX tape, or Paris Hilton's, or that kind of a thing. And it's just this is people being violated on video, from what I understand. I've not seen them personally. There's that. Now, also keep in mind, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a cop, I'm not a private investigator. I ain't none of that fancy credential stuff, okay? I'm just a guy with a sofa that isn't even here, some sass, and some self-diagnosed personality disorder. Okay, let's just get that clear. There we go. Now, what I want to do first is look at some of the video clips that I pulled. And the first ones that I pulled were from Ashley Banfield, News Nation. If you don't know her, immediately go follow. She's a wonderful human being. I met her at CrimeCon. Follow her, obviously. You see here on the channel and whatnot. Love her interview style, love her personality. Very genuine human being in person and on camera, and I think that really shows in a lot of her interviews. I was starstruck meeting her, okay? So I can't speak enough of Ashley, and also her co-workers and whatever we call them, in that world, co-anchors or whatever, over there at News Nation. Several of them, Brian Enton, people like that. So definitely follow Ashley, Brian, all those people over there. Now, let's continue on. Like I said, we're going to be watching the interview. She is interviewing Courtney, and he's going to have his attorney next to him. That's the lady that you're going to see next to him. So we're going to put the clips up, and I'll just make commentary as we go.
Surreptitious cameras that were recording in private places like bathrooms.
I didn't see the cameras. You could tell how the person was angled. I knew that it was a camera there because I was there. You know, I wasn't there. I don't know if the person was too tall, he was holding it or whatever, but I wasn't there.
Now, he's going to make sure you know he was not there. Right? Okay. Wouldn't we all? Okay, seriously. I would have it tattooed on my forehead. I was not there, okay? Like, 100% we get it, Mr. Burgess, okay? Absolutely. But what Ashley is asking him about is like, okay, you saw these things, like what's the vibe, right? Do they know they're on camera? Are you seeing like there's hidden cameras all throughout the house? Y'all, this goes so deep. Now remember, there's all these tunnels and this crazy stuff over this house, okay? Also keep in mind that he has multiple residences. Now, another thing that's come through recently, we're just gonna kind of do some of this stuff that I've been going over in the background in between these little clips and whatnot. You know, he paid off his mansion down at Star Island. If you remember or know, Florida has the homestead thing. So you can put all your money down in like homes and real estate, stuff like that. People can't touch that, okay? He's lining up. I don't think he's gonna ever see the light of day, but of course he has tons of kids and whatnot. We'll talk about that a little bit here. So again, Mr. Burgess is just saying, you know what? Yeah, it looks like some of these angles, people don't really know what they're doing or know that they're being filmed, but it's hard to tell and whatnot. Video and filming was Diddy's weapon. Now, I think he probably also went back and looked at these things and enjoyed it, but it was 100% a weaponization as well.
Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
Now here you hear that the 8 celebrities, mostly men, 6, 2 females, underage and whatnot. You can probably guess, if you've been following this, who the underage ones most likely were and whatnot. I mean, the names that he dropped in these other shows, I was like, what? Some of them weren't a surprise, but I was like, huh? Where are the people's parents at, right? This is crazy, okay? Another thing that's like such a shocker to me with this here is the fact that some of these big rap names that are being like thrown out in this, and again, this is alleged at this point, right? This is not court document stuff. So this is like, you know, almost like tea kind of stuff, right? Not, I haven't confirmed this myself. So, but these big rap names where I'm like, oh, these were like supposed to be like hard, you mean like hip hop dudes, right? And we're finding out they're doing what? Now, if they are being violated against their own will, okay. But there's also a whole other theme and thing going on of, you know, there's a flip side. Victims and people who were the abusers, right? So, and then maybe people who just wanted to party, you know what I'm saying? And they were just like, hey, I'm just having a good time and I'm going to throw my hair back kind of a thing, right? And do what I want to do. So that undertone of like seeing like all these dudes doing this stuff with each other in this world, I was like, oh, okay. I was not expecting that on the bingo card.
Yes. Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them. All of them.
Now, that makes my heart hurt because I just, like, the mental image I get is somebody passed out, being violated. Blink Twice, that movie. Literally, y'all, it was about Sean. 100% about Sean. So that part right there, like I said, it hurts my heart, especially if we're finding out that some of these dudes were like kids at the time, right? Regardless, that just makes it worse, obviously, but no matter how old you are, if somebody's doing this kind of stuff to you against your will, this is terrible, obviously, right? So one thing that it makes me wonder is when he says like, she says like inebriated, whatever, are we talking about I party too hard and I'm partying and kind of out of it, or we're talking passed out? Right. Either way, it sounds like they weren't wanting to do this. Now, also, if you know or don't know, or if you followed or grew up or know whatever, this man has extreme power. Okay, I'm talking huge power that we are now learning from story after story after story. This guy is a monster. Okay, a monster, the things that he did. The fact that someone could do this kind of stuff to people, and it's not just Sean, right? Okay, I'm not just trying to be like, Sean's the only one doing it. We already see, right? The veil is coming off, right? Sean, we're going to see many more. I think he's going to be snitching personally, so we'll see. And there's some people who are recently going down. Look at the Abercrombie dude who went down, right? I think we're going to start seeing random people going down. And I think we're going to start seeing Sean taking everybody down with him as much as he can, okay? Because the fact that this is going on to this level, imagine what was going on before social media, before cameras, before all this kind of stuff that we had. Imagine the exploitation that took place. It had to have been off the hook, because it's off the hook now, right? But people can easily come back and be like, there's obviously videotape evidence, but he used that as a weapon for blackmail, okay? But I mean, with social media where people can talk and all this kind of stuff and we can exchange information the way we can these days, that's what just blows my mind. So I'm like, oh, please, you go back 30, 40 years? Oh, it's probably off the hook in Hollywood.
Out of those 8, how many appear to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims?
They victims.
Or were perpetrating?
Victims.
Again, it hurts my heart. Can you imagine going through your career knowing that he has this? Because I'm thinking of certain people right now that some of their behavior makes sense now. Some of their trouble, like their internal sadness that they seem to exhibit at times, or with their fame and their relationship to fame, or some of the behavior, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, you have this hanging over your head, and their fear when we see them interact with Puff or Sean, whatever you want to call him, it all makes sense now. Imagine going through being the level of fame that these victims have, and then knowing that he has this, and that, I mean, this sounds like he could strike at any time, right? He had people following people, he had doing stuff. I mean, this guy was running a criminal organization.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
These are just the ones we know about, okay? And these are just the celebrities. Imagine how many people, and we're seeing this with the lawsuits, right? What was it, like 120 or something like that from that other dude? Countless, okay? Imagine how many people who are trying to get into the music business who were exploited. We've already heard several cases. I mean, since my last video, numerous things have been filed about, oh, I took my kid went there and Puff wanted to meet with him, and the next thing this happened, and over and over and over and over, this man was using his position, his power, to exploit damn near anyone and everyone.
2 to 3. Also on the flash drives, Courtney, was what looked to be a manuscript written by, it appears to be a woman who had taken Kim Porter's private journals and had written a book. Is that accurate?
We don't know.
I don't know
how. Yeah.
I don't know how, who wrote it, put it together, but it was from her when I spoke to her.
Okay, now let's pause for a second. We are going to review an article at the end of this that kind of skims over this whole thing about this book, right? So we'll get more into that, but we're going to talk about a couple of things now. So first of all, remember that Kim Porter, and I'm just going to refer to my notes over here. This is the mother of 4 of Diddy's kids. They were together, obviously, or whatever, right? So she died November 15th, 2018 in California from pneumonia of some sort after several days of flu-like symptoms. Now, allegedly, and again, this is where there's like 2 trains you can take here to different destinations, okay? As with most anything, we believe this guy or we don't believe this guy, right? But there's no getting around that a book went out, and we'll talk about it. It has been yanked since, okay? Because our children were basically like, this isn't real. A lot of people are like, this isn't real, this isn't right, this okay? We'll get into that. Now, what he's talking about here is he's talking about like, oh, I got this flash drive. It had all these, this 11 flash drives, got all these videos and all this, and it had this, like, I think 60-some page memoir on there that a female wrote. And we'll hear what Ashley says in a minute because it's almost like the voice of it or whatever. And Ashley will call some of it out where it's like, is this, how valid is this, right? So clearly people want to get their hands on this. A huge interest has come about with this book. But again, because the kids are like, that's not real, we don't authorize this is a bunch of lies, they yanked it. Now, obviously, it's still going to be out there, right? So this is where you have to, again, hold things at arm's length, okay? I don't know this man. We don't know if this is true yet. We've seen plenty of other people out talking. We've seen Orlando, we've seen Jaguar. If you've been following this, like, before the blow up of this, people have been convincing that 50 Cent, okay? So if you followed this, you're starting to see Sloan Bella. I mean, I keep just coming up with all this stuff, right? These people who have been like, you know, Sloan's a psychic, but the other people, like, they're in the business, right? They know. They've been calling out these names, and a lot of this stuff is coming true. Mind you, Sloan did predict some of this. We love Sloan. But you see where I'm going with this. So you still have to hold it at arm's length until we get like valid information. Now remember, this dude right here was just talking to the feds, right? They subpoenaed him, okay? They came and got him from his house, okay? There's some kind of mix up, it sounds like, with the dates he thought. They're gonna come find you if they think you have something. And something like this, please. You know, do you know how many politicians are probably mixed up with this right here? Come on. The feds are coming to your doorstep. If your attitude is, you gotta come find me, trust me, they will. They're gonna find you, boo. Okay, let's go on to that next thing now.
It's only 60.
Okay.
Only about 54 pages. It was.
Sure, and in the beginning, it says, Kim made me promise that if something happened to her, I would make sure this book became public to the world. The way Sean moved, I knew that was a promise I would have to fulfill. Kim knew I was a woman of my word, and this book was going to make it to print. So it sounds like it is a woman who wrote up the notes from Kim Porter. Does that sound accurate?
It's how you read it, yes.
Now, again, we're going to look at a couple of clips here in a second when he talks to TMZ right outside the courthouse after they did that, which was right before this interview. He goes into a little bit more detail about this where he's talking about, because obviously it's like, well, who's the woman? Where'd you get this? And he's like, well, I didn't get it from her. I got it like from some man that was dating her or whatever, okay? So, and then we'll talk about the other book. We don't know. The book thing, I'm like, does it track what it said? 100%, right? We already know this, right? If you just look at some of the affidavits that we've gone over on the cases, Sean was going to take you out if you got in his way, okay? I mean, look at the stuff he was doing. This is, people lose their lives over stuff like this. Look at Liam. That just happened over there, okay? Very dark place Hollywood is. Very, very low vibration, very bad mojo. Complete side note. For me, one thing that I always go back over, and I mean to this day, like you see these photos of these celebrities at the red carpet or their little parties, you know, posing. They look so glamorous. They have all their expensive clothes on. Beautiful people. They're wonderful. Life seems amazing. Look at what's going on behind closed doors. Look at the secrets that they're carrying around up here. Look at the shame that the victims are carrying around up here. The imagery that they have to sit with every day. The knowledge of what happened to me after I took that sip of the drink. This kind of stuff. But I had to put a smile on and I have to pretend, yay, glad to be here in Hollywood. Oh, I got plucked out of obscurity and was made famous and blah, 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 blah. They have to keep the facade up. Because again, people are scared of this man with all due reason, right? I mean, literally, like, there's so many stories out there where he's attacked producers, magazine people. I mean, this man was evil. If you got in his way, he was going to take you out, or worse, he was going to hunt you down. Like the one girl who we read, talking about the last video I did on him where she, you know, claimed on the phone, like, oh, I think you had something to do with Tupac. And he hunted her down and like violated her with a bunch of people. This is some random stranger, okay? Like, this is what you're dealing with here. So anyways, that's a little bit of a tangent, but again, with the book and stuff like that, because this is such a salacious case and this content of this is going to be around forever, you know, people are going to be popping up talking about, I've got the lost diaries, I've got the this. And again, I'm not saying this is wrong or fake or anything like that, but this is a case where you're going to have to look at stuff and people's stories and people's claims. Like, we need, like, where's the proof? And I'm not trying to say to not take a victim's word and stuff like that, but something like this here with the book, okay? You know, we need to really delve deeper into this. However, I could totally see this being true, right? You have to question what happened to Kim. Look at, you know, all the other situations of women that were tied up with him, okay, and the things that happened to them. I mean, there's videotape of some of it. To
the best of your knowledge, Courtney, do you believe that the manuscript is truly based on Kim Porter's diaries? Because there is a lot of dialogue in there. It is pages and pages of actual dialogue, which, I mean, I can't remember breakfast today, let alone dialogue from 5, 10, 15, and 20 years ago. I guess this is a woman's scar. You understand? Maybe, you know, what she been through. It's, you know, I'm not a woman, so I'm just going by how I got female friends and relatives. They always come to the house scoring because what went on in their relationship. And you can't, when you score, you can't forget it. First of all, this is one reason why I tell you to follow Ashley, because Ashley's going to ask those questions that you're literally sitting there thinking, like, now again, I haven't read this book, but it's like, how are we talking about conversations that happened 20 years ago or whatever? She's going to ask those hard questions, okay, or the like obvious questions. Now his answer, a woman scorn. Okay.
I've got female friends who said, this and that. Female, male, right? It doesn't matter. Like, if you have gone through something traumatic, a lot of times that's going to imprint in your head. Now I would imagine that there's some level, and this is where you have to really hold things at a, whatever. I mean, I studied creative writing in college. That was my thing, right? That's what I did. All various forms of creative writing, fiction, nonfiction, stuff like that. And so some of these things that you read where it's just like, you have to question, like, okay, how do they remember this exact conversation? And if there's no way, right? Now they might remember the gist of it, but are they presenting it in that way? Okay, because if they're not, and they're saying, no, this is exactly what they said, well, really, boo? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you just have to question it. And again, I'm not saying that he's lying or anything like that, but you just have to be very careful how you vet things out in a situation like this. The case it's so just everywhere, right? Now, what I want to do now is move over to a couple of clips from TMZ. This is when they were coming out of the courthouse. Same gentleman, Ariel, his attorney that we saw with the Burberry outfit. And we're going to listen to what they say. It just goes into a little bit more context. There's not many of them. And then we're going to go over that article about the book.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you know Sean Combs?
Generation. Frank Lucas was my godfather and his father, and then we both was in the music business for 30 years together.
So you personally know him?
Not who? No, who personally?
Sean Combs.
Not personally.
But you know of him. He knows of you.
Yeah. I used to be in Tupac, Hussein Fatal. He stopped a lot of my music. A lot of other people who didn't care about him. You understand? That's not around today.
Right. So
now you heard him. Do not know him, right? So far, I was not there. Two tattoos. I wasn't there. I don't know him. He's pulling the Mariah Carey. Okay, I don't know him. The male version, right? Do you know Sean? I don't know him, right? Everybody's going Mariah Carey in this situation at this point, right? But you hear how he's talking about where he's like, no, I don't personally know him. My godfather, his father, this and that, all these connections. So I just wanted to put that up there so that you're hearing it from him. The connection there. Let's move on to that next clip.
Why were you in court today?
Just to give testimony to the grand jury. He was subpoenaed by the court. So as we all know, if you don't answer a subpoena, the marshals will come to your house as they came to his house and they will bring you here.
Now in Ashley's interview, I didn't put it up, but I just made note of it. At one point, she's like, oh, I heard you got raided or whatever. Now this guy apparently has multiple residences. And his attorney there, she makes sure to say, look, let's define raid. This is what a raid is. And this is what happened over here, okay? He was not raided, but the feds were like, hey, yeah, so we wanted you to come in. We didn't see you. So yeah, we're going, right? So and if you have multiple residences, I mean, they're going to go everywhere, right? So this is what took place there. So I just wanted to put that out there just to have that cleared up or whatever. Now we're going to watch one more clip. It's a little bit of a longer one, but this is where they talk about the book, okay? And then we're going to go over the article to kind of talk about that and wind out the video.
I know you did mention what was on the flash drive before. Would you be able to kind of go over that now, or is that something that you can't discuss?
No, we're trying to go to discuss that now, what we will be able to talk to in terms of what was available and what was on those flash drives.
Okay.
But it was the book, so.
So it is Kim Porter's book, but not necessarily some of the stuff with the celebs that were mentioned besides.
It's hers. Nobody touched it.
Oh, so it is her official book.
Yes. Nobody.
And no one touched it.
Nobody altered it. Nothing.
So it's not the copy that the gentleman said that he was selling before. No.
No.
It's two different copies. That one was edited, and we have the original copy.
So you're saying that the other copy was an actual real copy, even though the family said it wasn't?
It was a derivative work.
It was edited. The only way the family say that is because I forgot his name. Albie Short.
Yeah.
Yeah. And besides that, how they know? A lot of stuff their mother did, they didn't know. And I'd like to say apologize to the mother and the family for the picture being in front of it.
Okay. Now, this interview kind of jumbles things up a little bit where she makes it a little bit confusing at times. But nonetheless, you've heard, this is like her intro to read about this article. So you hear him saying, this is the original. Over there with somebody else that was like an edited, chopped up, whatever. This was the original, okay? So now you also heard him say where the family, and we'll get into this, was like, oh, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, how do they know? You know, how do they know what their mother did? I mean, this is a valid point, right? I'm not trying to say the family's wrong or anything, but you always have to question stuff like in a lot of these cases we follow and whatnot where this kind of statement right here, they would never do that. There's two versions of that. There's the person that you know that they would never do that, and then there's a person behind closed doors that has their life, their secrets, their whatever, and that's not good, bad, or indifferent. It just is what it is, right? That's human nature. No one knows anyone better than themselves, right? So just think about the different faces we present to different people in our lives and whatnot. So again, it's just the same thing where I was like, you have to hold this stuff at arm's length. You know, they're saying, oh, this is the unedited book. You know, this is true. Okay, it's over here. The family's saying that's not true. Okay, well, how do we know? The truth is somewhere always in the middle, right? So let's review an article. This is by LA Times. I want to just go over the whole thing real quick because it goes into detail and is a good talking point about the said book. So let's jump into that now. So as you see the title here on the screen, Amazon pulls purported Kim Porter memoir after it is denounced by her children. So let's just get in that first little shot here. Now it says, you know, they pulled the memoir attributed to the late model Kim Porter that detailed the alleged abuse at the hands of Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, whatever you want to call him. The e-commerce giant Tuesday removed Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side. It comes on the heels of Porter's children denouncing the work and casting doubt on its authenticity. Now, the last thing here, it says like just a little, you know, quote from them. We were made aware of a dispute regarding this title and have notified the publisher, an Amazon spokesperson said Wednesday in a statement to the Times. The book is not currently available for sale in our store. It's unclear how many copies were sold. Move on to the third one. The $22 memoir was published in early September and despite being rife with errors and accuracies, became a bestseller shortly after Combs was arrested. Now, you can already imagine, right? Okay. So, and it goes into his little charges and whatnot. Porter's 4 children, 3 of whom share with the Bad Boy Entertainment co-founder, condemned the memoir and said that claims that their mother wrote a book are simply untrue. And then the middle thing here, quoting him, it says, anyone claiming to have a manuscript is misrepresenting themselves, they said. Additionally, please understand that any so-called friend speaking on behalf of our mom or her family is not a friend, nor do they have her best interest at heart. Combs' attorney Erica Wolf has also described the book as fake, offensive, and a shameless attempt to profit from tragedy. And this could be very well true, right? Let's go into the last thing here. Now it says Porter dated Combs on and off for about 13 years. She died at 47 in November 2018 after being unresponsive at her San Fernando Valley residence. LA County Department of Medical Examiner coroner announced in January 2019 that she died of a natural death due to lobar pneumonia, despite conspiracy theories that were shut down by her children. Let's go on to the next thing. The purported memoir's cover said it was written by Jamal T. Millwood for Kimberly Porter. Millwood was later revealed to be author and investigative journalist Chris Todd, who, under his pen name, alleged in the book's prologue that one of Porter's last wishes was for this memoir diary to be made public. But even he, who self-published the book, was skeptical about the entry's authenticity. Okay, let's go into the last thing here. Todd told Rolling Stone that he was given the source material by 2 people who said they were close to Porter and Combs after Combs' ex, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, sued him in November. He also told the Associated Press that sources very close to Kim and Sean Combs provided him with a flash drive, documents, and tapes from Porter that he pieced together to create the memoir. So you see how this is all going down. Now, again, this is not to say that this gentleman over here who we've been talking about, Courtney, is this person and whatnot, because you heard Courtney say that he got this from, again, it sounds like these same 2 people or whatever. This is what I'm talking about, though, where with a case like this, you don't know what to believe at a certain point, right? Everyone has a vested interest for something. Random people will come forth talking about, they might not even met any of these people once, right? But let's pretend that they brushed shoulders on the sidewalk. Oh, I knew them. Oh, yeah, I could tell. It's just, it is what it is, right? People are going to be able to profit off this. Somebody making up a fake memoir, let's pretend it's fake. Okay, let's go down that avenue. Pretend it's all made up or whatever. You already saw his bestseller. You see what I'm saying? Lots of money is at stake, okay? People will do crazy stuff for lots of money and fame. Look at Sean, okay? But case in damn point, right? Look at what he did. Look at how he exploited people. He knows this about people. He uses it to take advantage of people and to victimize them, right? And to keep them there. So something salacious like this book and the memoir and all that type of stuff, you know, let's see. This gentleman here going around doing the rounds talking about, again, he's name dropped. He's like, boom, I saw boom, I saw boom, I saw boom. If this turns out to be true, again, buckle your seatbelts, because this is going to rock Hollywood and the music business to the core. Another huge thing with this that, you know, for me sitting here watching is who's not saying anything, okay? Now, you notice if you followed, so Beyonce and Jay-Z's name are all tied up with this, right? So they're all up in it. Well, they're starting to speak out too, because it's getting to the point where this is like a lot of these celebrities, it's like, y'all are going to have to say something or your reputation's going to be forever mixed with this if you truly don't have anything to do with it, right? J-Lo's another name. She dated the man, right? Now she's been all through the paper, whatnot, right? She was already having a bad year, okay? It was not a cute year for J-Lo on many levels. This is the icing on the cake for this whole thing right here. So many people like that could have been people that either, and I'm not saying that those three people I just named were people who were victimized or were doing stuff to other people. I don't have that proof yet, but that's how their names are being thrown around there, right? In that context. If you follow people like Jaguar, okay, you can just Google her name into YouTube if you want to watch her stuff. If you followed her, just plays. I mean, you just go see what she says about the people I just named, okay? Let's just put it that way. Jaguar Wright, she's in the music industry. She's been talking about a lot of this stuff and whatnot, and a lot of these things she's been saying has been true. Is she dramatic the way she tells the story? Absolutely. Does it draw me in? Absolutely. It just is what it is, okay? A lot of people on TikTok have actually been going viral doing impersonations of her, and some of them are so accurate because she's very dramatic, like the way she tells a story, but it's very captivating. And obviously the things she's saying are so shocking and so like your brain can't comprehend it. But what is even more hard to comprehend is that they seem to be coming true, okay? So that's with this right here. If this gentleman ends up being legit and this stuff that he has, and he's got the tapes and they're out there, the tapes are going to hit at some point, right? They are going, I mean, there's stuff that's allegedly leaked out there and whatnot. I have not tried looking up. I don't want to see stuff like that. Just even hearing about that is so to me. It is what it is. But these kind of things are going to come out in court and whatnot at some point. Now, depending on laws and whatnot, they could be protected identities as far as like victim in federal court and stuff like that goes, especially if they were, you know, youthful, like underage at the time. But again, I'm not 100% sure how that works. But there's a lot at stake here for a lot of people, and it's just, it is what it is. The people who are doing the victimization are going along with it or allowing it to happen. They need to be brought to justice. And the victims, whatever it takes to get through the day at this point, because I can't imagine being somebody in one of those tapes that was victimized and seeing what's going on in the headlines and with this case and just waiting for that hammer to drop and be like, and now it's officially public. And now, yep, your victimization being on public display when you're already a public figure, almost forcing you to have to say something with it. We don't know what journey they've traveled to come to terms with what happened. You know what I'm saying? And so then for this to all come back out and be put out there in such a huge way, and to also be so shocking to the general public. Again, I'll say this in all my videos I do about stuff like this. For me, when I grew up, Hollywood was this other place. People didn't have cameras like this. We didn't have our phones. We weren't all making videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat, all this stuff, right? These people like this that you saw, you went to the movie theater and saw them, you waited months for their thing to come out on VHS. You know what I'm talking about? The video store, beta, whatever it was at the time, whatever you had. It was a very other than unaccessible world. It's very different now, right? Celebrity has transitioned to influencer. You see a lot of this drama going with the influencers and things of that nature too. Times have changed or whatever, and this accessibility has made these celebrities more real. But as that has happened and we've seen like, well, wait a minute, this is what y'all been doing? This is what y'all been doing. Okay. Blows my mind. So anyways, that's my rant on that. So anyways, that's it. We're going to obviously keep following the situation here, the P. Diddy situation as this goes on, but this is one that I wanted to speak to specifically because I've been watching content by Courtney and I was like, oh my gosh, it's getting ready to happen. So that's it. If you're still watching, I do appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Main two questions that I'm thinking. Do you believe him? Do you think the book's real? If you've watched his other content and heard him drop the names, were you shocked? So that's it. I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you could, while you're down there doing all that, drop some sofas off for myself, Roscoe and Spirit, Bo and Luke who are running around, and all the rest of the Sofa Squad family so we can hang out in the comment section, talk about this case and all the other ones we do talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we meander our way down there to do that, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.